Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the 233rd meeting of the Audit Committee, Tuesday, July 1, 2024. Can I get a roll call by the chair, please?
Yep, the record will reflect that all trustees are present, with trustees Kistner and Nicholasison online.
May I have approval of committee meeting minutes, June 3rd, 2024?
Second.
Moved.
Thank you. There are no comments by the chair. We got the internal audit with Todd this morning. Good morning, Todd. The floor is yours.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Mr. Watson. So I want to take a few minutes to go over the audit plan for FY26. We do this every year, about the same time every year. Just so you know, there's no official action or approval required on your part for this. But if you guys have any questions, recommendations, suggestions, please speak up and let us know. Now we're going to go use this presentation. There are some pages in here that I'm not going to go over. I don't think they're necessary to go over for our purposes here at the meeting, but I do like to have those pages in the document. There are other parties that do look at this document, other auditors and so, but I like to have those pages in there for them. So with that, let's go ahead and go to slide 4. That's the fourth slide. Should say external audit, external financial audit versus internal audit function at the top. I want to take a quick minute just to kind of discuss the differences between external financial auditors and the internal audit function. I think there's sometimes some confusion around, especially in this building, they think we're all the same team, we're the same, everybody's just an auditor. We actually are two separate, completely separate groups. We do communicate with one another, but we have fully separate engagements, and we come at this from a different perspective. The main focus of the financial external auditors is the financial statements. They're looking at the 1231 benefit plans. They're focused on the 630 financial statement audit package. That's their big focus. And if you look at the slide, you might see a little overlap in there in the middle. We try to avoid that. We try to not duplicate efforts. To give you a good example, we just did the treasury audit last month. We presented that to you guys. Now, when we look at this area, we focus on the processes. We look at how checks are over $50,000 are executed, how district process EFTs, how they process wires, how we invest. Is it according to policy? How do we issue debt? Is it according to policy? Now, when the external auditors look at this area, they're more looking at how is all that stuff recorded? How is it on the GL? How is it presented in financial statements? And also, there's a lot of areas that are completely out of their scope that we look at. We kind of get in the weeds. So I just want to kind of explain that a little bit. I hope that helps. So let's move on to slide 5.
Quick question.
Yes,
quick
ma'am.
question. What is GL?
I'm sorry? General
What is
ledger?
GL?
Yeah, the general ledger. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry. Sometimes I'm trying not to use acronyms. I don't like when people do that to me either.
I understand.
Yeah. So let's go to 5. I'll explain the risk assessment methodology. This slide moves from left to right. So when we take into consideration, on the left-hand side, look on the left-hand side, we take into consideration the various inputs on the left. We look at circumstances affecting the district. A good example would be the recent $900 million incinerator project. That's some new event that's occurred. That's actually part of our audit plan. We review the prior audit engagements. We hold risk assessment discussions. We talk to the management. We talk amongst ourselves. We reach out to each board member. Look at the strategic plan. Look at the financial statements. We kind of take all that information into play. Identify the risk. Identify the key areas. Line everything up and develop an audit plan. Now, if you go to slide 6, I think this will explain it a little more simply. So to quantify and document this process, we use a point system, basically. We assign points to each overall area based on attributes and factors. And I have a giant spreadsheet that contains all this information. So if you look to the left, what is the overall risk of the area? Is it high, low, medium? We assign points based on that. Was the date of the last audit? Is it 5 years ago, 10 years ago. We just do it last year, so we signed points based on that. What were the results? Was it really clean? Do we have a lot of issues? Any recent development, other factors? Again, brand new large construction project, brand new IT implementation, those kinds of things. Those would be recent developments. And we assign points based on that. And then we get a point total for each area. And we basically, the areas with the highest number of points get on the audit plan. Any questions? Slide 7. Very quickly, I just wanted to show this to you. This is something we use as more of a visual check. The directors like to see the schedule. It shows all the different areas that have been audited within each division. And I think you can probably tell by looking at this, you can say, all right, look at the third column from the right, you see operations. Looks like they're due for an audit, which is true. Next 27, they're probably going to have 2 more audits, and I can see that from my schedule. But this is just a good way to visually look at everything from a high level and make sure we're not missing anything. Do you want to continue on to slide 12, the overall internal audit cycle? Just to remind you guys how this all works, we do the audits, we issue recommendations, process owners create an action plan in response, they implement those changes. We come back around at the end of the year and we do follow-up work, make sure those action plans are being implemented, or at least in the process of being implemented, and make sure everything, they're following through with them. So with that, let's go to slide 12. And I'll go over the actual engagements in the audit plan. The first one is the solids, I should say solids, not solid. Solids management upgrade. It's also known as the fluid bed incinerator project. Again, that's a very large construction project, guys. I'm sure you're well aware of it. There's two project sites, Bissell and Lima. They're building new processing buildings at each site, state-of-the-art process equipment at each site, $900 million project. It's a very large project. So we're going to start audit. We're going to audit that as it's going on. We're going to do work quarterly on this project. Again, we want to make sure we're not overspending, we're not getting overcharged. Change orders are processed properly. The monitoring is adequate. I'm fairly sure they're all over this, but it's good. It's a good project for us to audit. Any questions? Slide 13. Small contractor program.
Todd, real quick.
Yes.
The fluid bed incinerators.
I'm sorry.
The fluid bed incinerators. So we're using a design build method of delivery.
Right.
Does that require a different level of audit scrutiny, or?
We're going to look at all of it. I don't know, technically, I don't know the exact answer, but we're going to look at all parts of it. So we have a guy that used to work in the construction industry. He has 30 years of experience in this, so he's going to spearhead it. So.
But we haven't, correct me wrong, we haven't done anything on this scale with design build before, right? We haven't done anything on this scale before ever.
Yeah, I think the plan is we would audit our owner's representative as well as the design. Excuse me. It's gonna be a long day.
I promise this is the first question.
As well as a designer and a builder.
But, so I'm assuming we're doing that. I'm just wondering, is there a different method that we have under? I mean, we know how to audit, I'm assuming, traditional design.
Yes.
Where we bid out.
You're right. We haven't really
design.
audited one like this, I don't believe. But the gentleman that we have on our team is very, very experienced. So he has a lot more knowledge than I do, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Okay, thank you.
We're going to kind of follow his lead, so we're going to let him, we'll know more once we start getting into it. So we'll keep you posted on it. So we're going to do this quarterly. So the next engagement is a small contractor program. This is an area that we've never audited before. And that, credit this to Rich and his team. This is their idea. I think it's a great idea for us to look at this program. This program, what it does is offers bidding opportunities for under 50,000 to small contractors. It's basically a lot of small type projects. You can see the list of different types of projects there. I'm not going to go through each one of them. But I think it's a good idea for us to take a look at it, to make sure the program is being administered properly. The contract selection process has been handled properly. The contractors are meeting the minimum requirements and so forth. The billing is proper. We're not getting overbilled. We're getting billed in accordance with the contract terms. So that kind of thing. Any questions? Next area is construction change orders. We're going to look at that. This is the area we look at every 3-4 years. Last time we did it was in 21 to 22. In general, in construction, if something kind of goes off the rails, it usually is in the area of change orders. That's why we want to look at it every few years. Now, engineering does a really good job in this area, but it's a good idea to look at it to make sure everything's buttoned down. We want to make sure assets are safeguarded. We want to make sure we're getting charged properly. We're not getting overcharged. We're getting the credits we deserve and that kind of thing.
Do we, is there like a tolerance, is a percentage that you look for? So on a $100 million project, we expect 2% variance on change orders that we're gonna have 2% change orders. Compare it against
I think we just, not really. We kind of try to take a cross section of different types of change orders. We look at big ones and small ones from big projects, small projects. I'm not aware of a specifically tolerance. It's might be a good idea to mention to the audit team. I'll talk to them about it. Yeah.
Okay. I just know I've had to sign them in the past and they're no fun.
Right. Any other questions? Slide 15. I guess the answer, you go back to that. If we see a real big change order, we're going to grab them. If that makes, yeah. So if we see it, so we kind of get the whole population and look at it and see what we see. Slide 15. Revenue is the next item is revenue billing. It's the revenue billing cycle. This is not engineering, it's finance. All right. So the most recent review of this area was 2021. This is a very important area. This is the engine of the district. This is, where the district's revenue is coming from. So it's obviously a very important area. It was very clean the last time. Mary's team really does a good job in this area, but just inherently is an area that we need to look at every 3-4 years. Again, we want to make sure everything is being built properly. We're billing according to policy and according to the rate schedules. Make sure we're properly reviewing the customer adjustments, making sure we're approving those. That's always an area we got to watch. Make sure the customer assistance program is being administered properly, that kind of thing. Now, this engagement does not include the customer call center or collections. Those are separate audits. If you guys remember, we do those separately. Next slide is network vulnerability, and on slide 16, I'm sorry. Network vulnerability and attack and penetration. This is the 26th version. Right now, we're actually finalizing the FY25 engagement. This is something we're doing every year, and I think it's necessary just because of the landscape we exist in. Obviously, the risks, are that we get breached, operations interrupted, private data exposed. There's a lot of bad things that can happen if we don't have this lockdown. And IT is doing a really good job, but I think we just need to stay ever vigilant. Slide 17, assessment of vulnerability management process. Again, this is, I would call almost a companion audit to the tech and pen. It's a new audit we've never done. It involves assessing the effectiveness of the district's vulnerability management program. So basically what we're going to do is see how IT basically is how they're identifying and addressing vulnerabilities on a daily basis. So how they're reacting, how they're correcting, how they're shoring things up on a daily basis. I think it's a good audit to do. And we kind of had some ideas and they suggested we do this one. I think it's a good idea. Um, Any questions? Next item is diversity, slide 18. The last time we did this was in 2020. It's been a little while. It's high profile area, high priority for the district. We were kind of waiting for that new system to be implemented, but it has taken a little longer than we hoped. If you guys remember this, the current system application is now working very well, and they're in the process of replacing it. So regarding that current system, regarding the current system, what we're going to try to do is assist with identifying the capabilities that it doesn't have, and pass that information on to the developers as soon as we get that information. As we're seeing stuff, we're going to pass it along to them. Also, want to make sure the program is working properly. Make sure the contractors are adequate and monitor regarding performance and diversity requirements, making sure the payments to subs are occurring timely, and make sure the reporting is accurate, make sure we're in compliance with the disparity study and the CBA, that kind of thing. So again, we haven't looked at this in a while, so I think it's time to look at it. Any questions? Slide 19, overhead rates. This is where we review the overhead rates for the CM and design consultants. So we have on the big incinerator project, we have a CM consultant on that project. We look at their overhead rate. There'll be one of the companies that we look at. So we just make sure the rates are in accordance with what they call FAR. That stands for Federal Acquisition Regulations. That's what the government uses for overhead rates. It's a pretty good set of standards. We decided on that about 15 years ago to hold the consultants to that standard, and we review those throughout the year. And sometimes they're really smooth, other times there's some pushing back and forth. We're having one of those right now. Okay, the last one is the review of the SOC reports. This is where internal audit reviews all the SOC reports for the district. There's all the ones. We're still in the process of identifying all of them, but I think we're getting pretty close. So, but question probably is, what is a SOC report? SOC report, SOC stands for Service Organization Control Report. This is for a third-party service provider, a TPSP. Examples would be Cigna. They are our healthcare administrator. We are self-funded, so they administrate our health plan. Thomas McGee is our claims processor. UKG is our payroll processor. All those entities should have a SOC report, and it's really important for us to look at those. Basically, what an independent CPA performs an examination, especially an audit, of the service organization's controls and structures. The focus of the engagement is specifically on the controls and processes that are relevant to the services being provided by the organization to the user enter, which is us. So it's really important that we know if this organization has some kind of control issues, processes. It's important that we know that. So that's why we need to look at these reports. Also, we need to know what complementary controls we need to have in place. In other words, they design their process controls with the idea that we're doing some certain things on our side. If we're not doing our part, the whole thing doesn't work. So we need to make sure we're doing that as well. Just to give you an idea, we have collected about 27 reports for 25. There's quite a few of them. Any questions? Slide 21. So we're in the process of finishing up the 25 plan. Claims processing, legal, systems access review, and tech and penetration, payroll. You're going to see claims probably next month. You'll see the rest of these in the next few months. And then we're starting to work in July on the diversity, and then also the incinerator project. So we always kind of overlap here. As we're finishing up, we're starting a new plan. So are there any questions? I appreciate your time, guys.
Thank you, Todd. Next meeting, tentative date, August the 5th, 2024. Can I get a motion for adjournment? Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Okay, Trustee Kistner will get set up. Trustee Kistner, we are ready to begin when you are.
Okay, good morning. This is the 268th meeting of the Program Management Committee on Tuesday, July 1st. Can we get a roll call?
Yes, record will reflect that with trustees Kistner and Nikozison present online and all the other trustees in the room, everybody is present.
Very good. We have committee minutes from our June 3rd, 2025 meeting. Can we get a motion?
So move.
Second.
All right. There are no comments by the chair, so I'll turn it over for the engineering department agenda items.
Good morning, trustees. Have quite the agenda this morning. There's 31 items, so feel free to stop me at any time. As we go through, we've grouped the agenda items, so be similar type projects as we go through, but quite a diverse group of items that you'll be voting on next week. First two items are CSO volume green infrastructure. First one is for Affinia Healthcare. The ordinance authorized the district to enter into agreement with Fresh Coast Capital, doing business as Green Partners, for the Green Infrastructure Grant Program. Again, the purpose of this program is to reduce combined sewer overflows to the Mississippi River per the long-term control plan. This project will reduce runoff with the installation of 4 bioretention basins, 2 amended soil areas, and additional permeable concrete. The total cost of the project is estimated at $625,700, and that is the request for the reimbursement for this project. There's an exhibit in your packet. This is located in the near north downtown area. And as you can see on that parcel, they're basically going to capture most of the runoff on their parcel and run it through BMPs to capture that stormwater runoff before it gets to the combined sewer system. The next item is a green infrastructure grant for Brickline Greenway, the North Connector Phase 1. This authorizes the staff to enter an agreement with Great Rivers Greenway to provide financial assistance. This project too will reduce combined sewer overflow to the Mississippi River. This project will reduce runoff with the installation of 25 bioretention basins. The total cost of the project is estimated at $655,200, and Great Rivers Greenway is requesting approximately $488,000 reimbursement for the project. Again, this is located on the Brickline Greenway that essentially runs along North Grand between Cass and Natural Bridge. As you can see, adjacent to the Greenway or to the new trails will be bioretention basins that will capture water from the trail and from the street. This definitely reduces the amount of runoff that gets to our stormwater system in that area. The next group of items are supplemental design appropriations. This is pretty typical of July of each fiscal year, starting the fiscal year July 1st. These are projects where we have ongoing consultants doing work. Either we're assigning new projects to them or we're adding additional dollars in order to complete projects that are currently in design. First project is Collingwood Drive sewer separation. This action appropriates funds and authorizes staff to amend the design contract. It amends the design contract with Burns McDonnell for the design of the Collingwood Drive sewer separation project. This Burns McDonnell is a watershed consultant. They were selected back in 2012 to do projects in the Lime service area. So this is probably one of their last couple projects that they'll be doing as part of that watershed contract. This project is a lump sum design for approximately 710 linear feet of 15-inch storm sewer and 320 feet of 15-inch sanitary sewer, and the removal of private inflow at 2 properties. The purpose of this project is to alleviate wet weather building backups and overcharged sewers by separating the combined sewer area along Collingwood Drive and removing 1 combined sewer overflow that's required by the consent decree. This project is being designed again as part of the Lime Sanitary System Improvement Project. The appropriation of $279,000 is equal to what's in the budget, the CIRP budget. From an MWB perspective, when we originally contracted with Burns & McDonnell with the watershed, their commitment to MWB participation, minority and women, was 29%. The work that they're going to do on the Collingwood job, they're going to provide almost 35%. Overall, with all the projects at Burns & Mac, they're currently are at 34.22%, so exceeding their original anticipated goal. Next item is a pump station repair and improvement design contract C. This action appropriates funds and authorizes staff to amend the design contract. The ordinance authorizes the amendment to Crawford, Murphy, and Tilley to design services for projects included in the pump station repair and improvement contract C. This project is a lump sum cost for the design and preparation and construction for multiple pump station improvement elimination projects. The design contract consisted of 5 potential pump station projects. The purpose of this project is renew and replace assets that exceeded their design life. The construction cost for these projects is approximately $5 million. Projects are listed on the detail sheet. Our appropriation of $100,000 is equal to what's in the budget. This additional $100,000, these projects are currently in construction, is to finalize as-built drawing and complete construction phase services on the construction of these projects. With regard to MWB participation, this amendment, they anticipate approximately 43.5% minority women participation on the overall project. They had a goal, there was no original goal for the project, and they're going to have a participation of 34.16% on the project. The next project is a CSO Mary south of Manchester Interceptor Elimination Project, Phase 2. This appropriates funds and authorizes staff to amend the design contract with HDR for the design of the CSO Mary Interceptor Elimination project. Again, this also is part of a watershed consultant project. There's HDR's designed a number of projects associated with the River to Pear and Upper River to Pear tributary projects. This particular design is a lump sum cost for the design of approximately 5,200 feet of 15 to 30 inch diameter sewers, approximately 4,100 feet of 15 to 27 inch diameter sewers and appurtenance. And they will also be eliminating some public and private inflow sources to the system in one of our study areas. The purpose of this project is to remove that excessive inflow from the combined sewer. And then once that is done and the sewer reliefs are built, project will eliminate one combined sewer overflow. The construction cost estimate for this project is $37,318,000. The appropriation of $150,000 for design services is equal to that. This is a supplemental funding. There were some additional costs associated with this design, dealing with conflict resolution with the city of Brentwood and MoDOT in the Manchester area. So we're getting an additional $150,000. This is a supplemental appropriation. With regard to MWBE, this particular amendment for $150,000, there's no planned MWB participation, but the overall contract, they had original commitment of 20% minority and women participation beginning of the project. Currently, that they're running at 36.22% participation, minority and women participation. The next item is the Earlsfield Sanitary Relief and Kingston Pump Station Elimination. This appropriates additional funds and authorizes staff to amend a design contract with George Butler for design contingencies and construction phase services of this pump station elimination project. The elimination project consists of the construction of approximately 2,400 lineal feet of 15 to 27 inch diameter sewers and appurtenances and eliminates one pumping station. The purpose of this project is to alleviate sanitary sewer surcharging and building backups during wet weather and to eliminate one wet weather pumping station. The construction cost for this project is $1,745,000. This appropriation of $100,000 is greater than the funding. We had $50,000 in the budgeted. During the design and construction, there were numerous sinkholes, utility conflicts that were unforeseen, and property coordination that have required this additional dollars for the project. George Butler had original goal of 31% combined minority and women participation from sub-consultants. They currently are running at 41.63% after this appropriation. The next item is the Cox Creek Pump Station B relocation Phase 2. This appropriates funds and authorizes staff to amend a design contract with WSP USA to provide engineering design services for 30% conceptual design build documents for this pump station relocation project. The purpose of this project is to construct a new triplex submersible pump station in a new location, construct a 1 million gallon storage tank to provide secondary power, complete the demolition of the existing pump station and appurtenances. WSP will also provide owner's representative service during the future and will require future supplemental appropriations during the construction and startup of this design build project. The owner's rep services include reviewing the design build progress to make sure everything stays on track and within budget. The construction cost estimate for this pumping station is $20 million. The appropriation of $592 for design is $208 below what we had proposed for the project presented in the CIRP. But again, there will be additional appropriations as the project goes. Originally, when we hired WSP, this is part of a watershed consultant project, they had a commitment of 35% MWB participation. On this particular project, they planned 13.88, but after this amendment, the overall participation for minority and women will be 39.26%. Next item is a general services agreement, facility sewer design contract A. This appropriates funds and authorizes staff to enter into an amendment with HDR for the design of various projects in the capital improvement. This is a general service agreement. This is a staff extension to do design on projects, mostly dealing at our plants and pump stations. This project consists of completion of ongoing design of, again, small sanitary combined and treatment plant projects as needed throughout the district to support the design effort. This contract amendment is for a total maximum of $250,000, and the work will be issued by letter agreement for each individual scope. The appropriation for design is greater than proposed funding. In the CRP, we had 200 in the budget, and we're appropriating 250. There was an increase in engineering effort on one of the projects. The man lift replacement project included relocation of a transformer at one of the pump station, in addition of a penthouse at one of the other pumping stations. Again, the majority of these additional dollars are to support construction phase services. So these projects that were designed by HDR are currently under construction and are currently being oversaw by the design consultant. The next two items are supplemental appropriations for stormwater capital design. If you recall last year, once we had received approval by the voters, we started design for new capital projects from the stormwater fund. We started last year, and our plan is to issue 2 design contracts over a 2-year period. Later this year, I'll bring 2 more contracts to you. So we'll have a total of 4 consultants working on design projects for the new stormwater fund. So this is the second year for these consultants, these two consultants that we started in fiscal year 25. The first one, Stormwater Capital Design Contract A. This appropriates funds and authorizes staff to amend the design contract with Lockmuller Group for the design of stormwater capital projects. This project consists of the design and preparation, construction documents for multiple stormwater infrastructure projects. The design contract consists of 5 sewer projects. Purpose of these projects is to solve stormwater flooding and erosion. The construction cost estimate for these 5 projects is $2,896,000. The projects are Alamania Street storm improvements, Edna and Grove storm sewer extension, Spring Oak storm sewer, May Valley Lane storm sewer, and Lexington Avenue storm sewer. The appropriation is for $1 million, is equal to what's proposed funding for this project in the CIRP. There's a commitment for this 2-year project. The goal was 18% minority and 13% women. Right now, the overall percentage is at 35.78 after this amendment, so that exceeds the goals for the project. The second stormwater contract, Contract B, this action also appropriates funds and authorizes staff to amend the design contract with Oates and Associates for the design of stormwater capital projects. This project consists of the design and preparation for multiple stormwater improvement projects. This design contract consists of 8, and I apologize, the write-up says 5, missed that. The purpose of this project is to solve stormwater flooding and erosion projects. The total cost estimate for these projects is $2,247,000, and construction is anticipated to start in next fiscal year. These projects, the Olathe Avenue storm improvements, the Berwick Drive storm improvements, the Briarwick storm improvements, Claymont storm improvements, Novara storm improvements, the Dagenhart Avenue storm sewer, the Log Hill Court storm sewer, and the Crestwick Drive storm sewer. The appropriation for this project is also $1 million for design services and equal to that what is presented in the budget supplement. Our minority participation, the goal was 18% minority and 13% women participation. And right now, after this amendment, our minority participation will be approximately 23%, and the women participation approximately 14.2%. As you can see, we've got quite a bit of jobs going. You have these 13 here and the ones we started last year, so we're well on our way. And again, I'll be bringing 2 new contracts for consultants, trying to get jump-started on the stormwater program. This next item is, this is a grouping of projects that are being designed by Jacobs Engineering as part of our watershed contract. These are the large projects associated with our combined sewer overflow project. So these are, you're going to hear large design amounts and large construction amounts. It's basically the second half of the consent decree program. It includes large CSO tunnels, smaller adit tunnels, and large CS combined sewer overflow relief projects and pump stations as well. So as you go through, if you have any questions, but there's a total of 7 projects that, I'm sorry, 5 projects that we're going to be doing, including this first appropriation is for management. In other words, they're overseeing a number of consultants to do that. So we actually have a management contract with them as well. The Lower Middle River to Paris CSO improvements appropriates funds and authorize staff to enter amended design contract with Jacobs Engineering Group for annual extension to the watershed consultant services for all projects associated with the Lower and Middle River to Pair. The preliminary construction cost estimate of the entire Lower and Middle River to Pair CSO improvement program is greater than $1.4 billion. The estimated design contract for the program will be between $90 and $110 million. This year, fiscal year 26, authorization includes fees for project management services for fiscal year 26, coordination with the district and other watershed consultants, project scoping, preliminary studies, water quality and assurance, modeling, planning support, and special services. There will be specific project lump sum cost appropriations. Those are the other projects I mentioned, totaling $5.5 million in design costs, allowance to be used during the design of those projects. This appropriation of $1,780,000 for the management portion of the project is for fiscal year 2026. The projects that they'll be managing the design on are listed in the write-up. They're the Lime CSO Storage Tunnel, Broadway to River to Pear Tunnel, the Upper River to Pear and River to Pear Tributaries Storage Tunnel, the Upper and River to Pear and River to Pear Tributary Storage Tunneling Pumping Station, the Clayton Road Sanitary Tunnel, and the Claytonia Creek Sanitary Relief Project. Again, the total appropriation for Jacobs for this fiscal year is $17,280,000, which is equal to the budget. With regard to MWB participation on the project, there was an original commitment of 22%. Right now, Jacobs is running right around 23% overall participation for the project. And I'll discuss the individual participation on each one of the projects.
So Rich, if I could, this is, so the 17 million total that includes all the sub-consultants?
Correct.
Well, okay.
Hey, Rich, I don't think it was 17 million. I think it was 1.7 million.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, no, for all the projects I'm going to be reading. For all the projects.
That's what I thought, okay.
Yeah, it's this project plus the 5 projects that I mentioned. And I'm going to go through those individually.
But the overall 17 million is Jacobs and
And all their sub-consultants.
Got it.
And typically, the sub-consultants are about approximately a little less than 50% of the work.
Okay, and then, and this is basically the tunnel under River to Pear.
It's a tunnel under River to Pear. It's the tunnel from River to Pear to U City. It's an additional tunnel offshoot from the tunnel up to University City. And then there's a pumping station on the tunnel to University City. And then there's an additional sanitary relief project. So I'll go through each one individually.
Oh, okay, thank you.
So the first one is the Clayton Road Sanitary Relief Tunnel. This appropriates funds and authorized staff to amend the design contract with Jacobs. This project is a lump sum cost for the design of approximately 2,600 feet of 12 to 36 inch diameter sanitary sewer, 4,400 feet of 36 to 54 inch sanitary tunnel and appurtenances. The construction cost estimate for this is $49 million, and construction is anticipated to begin in fiscal year 2029. This design appropriation of $2 million is equal to what's proposed in the budget supplement. For this, and again, they'll show a sketch of the location of this project along Clayton Road. The total MWB participation for this project is estimated to be 27.71%. The next one is the Claytonia Creek Sanitary Relief Project. This action appropriates funds and authorized staff to amend the design contract with Jacobs. This is a lump sum design for approximately 7,600 feet of 8 to 30 inch diameter sanitary sewers. The project will provide for the elimination of one constructed sanitary sewer overflow. The construction cost estimate for this project is $21 million, and construction is anticipated to begin in fiscal year 2031. The appropriation of $300,000 is equal to what's proposed in the budget supplement. They are not anticipating any MWBE participation on this particular design. The next item is the Lime River to Pear CSO storage tunnel. This is the large tunnel, Trustee Wabi, that you referred to. We're continuing on the design on this project. This will authorize additional funds and to amend the design contract with Jacobs for this project. This is the 5th year of the design on this particular project. Again, this is the design of approximately 9 miles of 30-foot diameter CSO storage tunnel. The purpose of this project is to provide 206 million gallons of storage system to capture flows from 38 combined sewer overflows. The construction cost estimate for this project is currently $978,830,000. The construction of this is anticipated to begin in fiscal year 29. The appropriation of $1.2 million is equal to what's presented in the budget supplement. This particular project is over 90% design. Right now, we're in the process of acquiring the properties along the alignment, the 9-mile alignment. Most of it's under River to Pear. We're meeting with municipalities of the city of St. Louis and the city of Maplewood for this project. So the additional dollars for this particular project, 1.2, is basically to help get those plans to the final bidding set. It'll be a long bidding process for this, and it'll start in the next rate cycle, starting in fiscal year 29. But our bidding process will start well before that.
Real quick, couple of questions. One, when we bid, these are always, or when you guys put this contract out, or when we put this contract out, we then amend it each year for the appropriation for the subsequent year's work, correct?
Correct.
And when we originally issued the contract, what was the original cost? Has the cost exceeded what we originally thought, or is it?
On the design or where the construction?
The design.
The design. I would have to get back to you. I don't see it on here. Typically, we'll show the total appropriation to date, but I will.
I mean, there's, on the back, the next page is previous actions.
Right. What I'll do is I'll summarize that and get that for you.
Yeah.
What was anticipated, because it's design and construction, so I'll provide both of those. I think we started the design, then there was a delay on this design because of the FBI incinerators.
In 2013.
We did, and then the plan was originally this was supposed to go in 2018. Then the incinerator project came along, so we sought a change in the consent decree to delay this project.
I mean, it looks like we spent like $30 million on this thing so far, 25 million at least.
Yeah, I think it's probably not too far off what we anticipated. I don't know, I can't think of, but I can give you the iterations of how the cost is materialized.
Thanks, Rich.
All right, the next item is the Upper River to Pear and River to Pear tributary storage tunnel. This is a tunnel I spoke of that goes from River to Pear up into the University City to capture CSOs in that area. This appropriates funds and authorizes staff to enter a contract with Jacobs. This is a lump sum for the design of approximately 6 miles of 18-foot diameter CSO tunnel. Purpose of this project to provide 58 million gallons of storage in a deep tunnel system and appurtenance to reduce CSO volume required by the consent decree. The total construction cost estimate at this time for the project is $416,350,000. Our appropriation for planning design services is of $9 million. Proposed is equal to what's presented in the budget supplement. This particular one, as you can see, we're just getting started with the design. So we have some preliminary layouts of the tunnel. We're having conversations with regard to alignment. we're dealing on this particular tunnel with a number of municipalities: Maplewood, Richmond Heights, University City, Clayton. There's a number of municipalities where over the past year and over the coming year, we're meeting with them systematically, discussing where tunnel shafts may be located, properties. In fact, later in, I have an appropriation for dollars for acquiring property for shaft locations and whatnot for this particular project. And with this tunnel, there's also a tunneling dewatering pumping station. So at the end of this, Jacobs is designing a pumping station. This pumping station consists of a submersible pumping station that has a total cost estimate of $80 million. We're just getting started with the preliminary designs on that. Appropriation of $3 million is equal to what we have in the budget supplement. The appropriation is up $3 million, and the anticipated MWB participation for this pumping station is 11.22%. And again, they're doing preliminary design, so the two consultants are using now mostly doing survey and geotechnical work in the area of the pumping station. And that's all that we had on the Jacobs. Is there any questions? Because I'm kind of moving into a little different type project now. All right, if you have questions on any of these after the fact between now and next week, please feel free to give me a call. I'm covering a lot of ground today. Next item is the Halstead Storm Channel Phase 4. This appropriates additional funds to an ongoing construction project with Gershenson Construction. The work consists of removing sediment, vegetation, approximately 900 feet of existing concrete channel, the construction of approximately 1,300 feet of additional reinforced concrete vertical wall channel, and 93 feet of rock lining, and additional sewers to connect to this new channel. The purpose of the project is to contribute to the stabilization of Maline Creek, improving creek conveyance within the 15-year flood elevation. This is a partial funding request. We bid this project last year and appropriated only partial dollars. We're appropriating the additional $3,600 for this project. We'll bring the total appropriation to $8.5 million, and it'll fully fund the construction for the project. Are there any questions? The next item is a Hampton Creek Sanitary Relief Phase 1. This action will appropriate funds and authorize staff to enter into agreements with Ameren, Missouri, Spire, Missouri, Missouri American Water, AT&T, Missouri, MCI, and Charter. It authorized, the work will consist of the relocation of utility poles, gas lines, water lines, overhead utilities that are in conflict with the proposed Hampton Creek Sanitary Relief Phase 1. The work will be completed under individual agreements with the utilities. This is the first phase of utility relocation. We're appropriating $500,000 of this. During the design, it was found there was a number of utility conflicts, and we felt it was necessary to resolve these conflicts before we put the project out to bid. So it's something typically we handle during construction. We'll have utilities relocated. This particular one, due to the number of potential conflicts of this large diameter relief sewer, we're doing the relocation ahead of time for the contractor to not delay the contractor. All right. This next item is the Sanders Drive Storm Sewer Project. This authorized staff to enter into intergovernmental agreement with the City of Crestwood to make funds available to reimburse the city for the costs incurred in connection with the city's voluntary purchase and demolition of certain properties impacted by flooding. This ordinance authorized the district again to enter into an intergovernmental agreement Missouri with Crestwood, Missouri, for a total sum of $860,000 available to reimburse the city for the costs incurred with connection to voluntary purchase and demolition the 7 properties impacted by flooding at 959, 963, 967, 971, 1001, 1005, and 1009 Sandard Drive in the city of Crestwood. The district will make these funds available to the city in lieu of constructing the Sanders 1009 storm sewer project. During the design of this project, we were meeting with the city to coordinate. Our potential cost to construct this project was $860,000. It would address lower level floodings to smaller storm events. These homes also are potential flooding, and they were flooded over the past year to a 100-year flood. Our project was not going to resolve the 100-year flood project. So these homes were adjacent to an existing park. So the city, they came to us and said, hey, would we be interested in allocating our dollars? And then they would add additional park grant dollars to the project, purchase these homes, and eliminate the flooding potential for this project. We felt like it was a win-win. The project we were going to do would have solved some of the flooding during smaller events, but would not have resolved the maximum flooding event for this area. We agreed to it. They're handling all the purchases and all the demolition, and they will be reimbursed as the project moves along. Any questions? All right, the next item is the Upper River to Pear and River to Pear Tributary Storage Tunnel. This is one I explained that's currently under design by Jacobs. This appropriates additional funds related to the purchase of property, demolition, and related activities and easements, and authorize the district staff to acquire this property. The buyouts are generally south of Olive Boulevard and east of Highway 170 in the cities of University City, Richmond Heights, Maplewood, Shrewsbury, Clayton, Brentwood, and the city of St. Louis, to allow area necessary to accommodate the construction of a deep storage tunnel system. The effort will include the acquisition of property through negotiation or condemnation if necessary, and securing the site. Through the approval of this board action, district will be authorized to negotiate with property owner and purchase the properties, including the scope, without further board action. The real estate property acquisition consultant will perform all negotiations and management of the property acquisition from the first contract with the owners through closing. The consultant will perform all services in accordance with the Code of Federal Regulations and Uniform Relocation and Assistance Act. The district will contract for any demolition, securing of the site, and final restoration under separate contracts through our purchasing divisions. All these activities will be funded from the appropriation, and development of deep storage system will be funded, obviously, by Jacobs under previous board action, which I discussed earlier. Right now, we had appropriated dollars for the purchase of some property at the downstream portion where the pump station is going to be located. A number of years ago, we had an opportunity to buy a parcel in the Maplewood area. We appropriated $5 million for that project. We're appropriating an additional $5 million for this project. Right now, we've identified a total of 6 parcels that need to be purchased. One of those is an apartment complex in the University City area. And so these dollars will be utilized for these purchases.
Tim, are these reimbursable costs from the bigger financing? Yeah.
No, no.
Can they be? I mean, I don't know if there's a value in doing that, but. Right.
Right now, do not believe we have any state financing or with regard to this upper tunnel that I'm aware of.
Okay.
So we don't have a plan of finance yet for the.
For the
upper
construction,
tunnel, right.
correct.
I don't know. I remember in the past when I did this, it was like you got as much, you recorded as much as you could and got it thrown into the in the.
Yeah, when we go to the capital markets, we have a lot of flexibility in what we
Right.
use those funds for, but when we're using state revolving fund, it's project by
It's-
project. Now, we just talked to the state yesterday, and we talked a little bit about our future hopes for what could be funded.
Right.
We're obviously, they specifically also are waiting to hear what kind of capitalization they're going to get from the federal government, how far back that's going to be
Right.
cut, and then what the implications of that might be. So there's different ways to fund the program, but it could change the program as it is today, the subsidization rate, something like that. So it's hard to say exactly what the program's gonna look like. But our plan is to continue to go for SRF dollars, and we did talk to them about these future tunnel projects.
But when we acquire property, it just goes on our books as real estate, and we don't reimburse ourselves from the proceeds of the bond. It just-
Generally not for property, because then if we ever sell it, sometimes it can, depending on the use of the property, and if we get rid of it, it could impact tax
create a
status of the
taxable
bonds, yeah.
event. Okay, all right.
Typically, we will only purchase projects if we have some type of facility we're going to maintain on
Right.
afterwards. Otherwise, we would more than likely try to have an easement just to not have that property
Right.
on the books.
And generally, we're funding 60% of the capital plan with bonds, so there's,
So there's still 40% that we're taking out of pocket. Got it.
that's right.
Okay.
Good question, thank you. All right, the next item is the stormwater infrastructure repair dollars for fiscal year 2026. This action will appropriate funds for the small stormwater infrastructure repair projects. These are the under 50,000, and we also have projects that are above 50,000 for repairs of the stormwater system. The work to be done consists of the repair, replacement under construction of stormwater inlets, manholes, sewers, and other infrastructure identified by our operation and engineering departments at various locations throughout the district. This appropriation of $5 million will address stormwater projects as they are identified, and contractors will be hired through by the rules of the purchasing ordinance. A portion of this work is performed by the district small contractor programming. These are projects that are under 50,000. When I appropriate these dollars each year, I do like to give kind of a report of the previous fiscal year dollars, specifically to the small contractor program, to kind of give you an idea of the distribution of those dollars. With the fiscal year 25 dollars to date, we've had about $1.8 million through expenditures through the small contractor program. With that, about 17% has gone to small minority contractors, and 17% of that has gone to small women contractors with regard to dollars. With regard to the number of jobs, there were a total of 125 jobs for that 1.8 million. 27 of those, or 22%, went to minority small contractors, and 20 or 16% went to women-owned small contractors. So pretty consistent. We've been in the mid-30s with our MWB participation in the small contractor program. So again, still a successful program. Obviously, we've been going with the small contractor program for some time, and Todd will be doing an audit of that over the next fiscal year. Kind of give some, probably provide more details and statistics of the small contractor program. Very successful and growing. Probably one or two of these contractors every year move up to start bidding larger work. So hopefully we'll continue to do that. So. All right, the next grouping, there's 7 total items here. These are OMCI grants. These are dollars from the OMCI taxing districts that we allocate 50% of the appropriation of dollars within an OMCI for grants to the municipalities within those OMCIs. And throughout the year, I'm not sure why I ended up with 7 this month, but throughout the year, they'll come and seek reimbursement for projects that the cities are working on. So I'm going to go through those right now. Again, there's 7 of them. The first one is within the Coldwater Creek OMCI, and it's a reimbursement to Breckenridge Hills. And again, the ordinances, all these ordinances will authorize the district to enter into intergovernmental agreements with various municipalities. This one, City of Breckenridge Hills, for eligible stormwater expenditures where revenue is collected within the Coldwater OMCI subdistrict. Typical eligible stormwater expenditures include storm sewer and inlet construction, drainage improvements, stream bank stabilization, erosion control projects, clearing under bridges or cleaning detention basins, stormwater planning or engineering costs, and other stormwater-related expenditures as determined appropriate by the district. The City of Breckenridge is seeking reimbursement for the Isolda Avenue Bridge Replacement Project. The city has completed design services and construction for a failing bridge at Isolda with a new culvert. The total cost of the culvert was $439,600, and they had some grant funding from MoDOT. The total cost for the construction was, for the city, was $132,765, and they're seeking reimbursement from the OMCI grants of $51,469 they're seeking reimbursement for $18,166. This is the second reimbursement request. They had requested $51,000 in 2024. Apologize, I got ahead of myself. The next few are out of the Deer Creek OMCI. The first one's for the City of Clayton. Again, authorize the district to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with the City of Clayton for the Francis Place Drainage Improvement Project. The city requests funds for the construction services to regrade pavement and add area inlets near 501 Francis Place. The estimated cost of construction is $105,000. This agreement provides reimbursement of up to $105,000. The next one is also a Deer Creek reimbursement for the City of Clayton. It's for the City of Clayton West Polo Drive drainage improvements. Funds the construction of services to regrade pavement and add area inlets near 645 West Polo. The estimated cost for this construction is $117,500. This agreement provides for the reimbursement up to $117,500. This next one, also from Deer Creek, is for the agreement with the City of Clayton for the Wydown Boulevard drainage improvements. The city requests funds for the construction of regrade pavement and add area inlets near 7608 Wydown Boulevard. The estimated cost of this construction is $137,000, and the agreement will provide reimbursement for a total of $137,000. The next item is also from the Deer Creek OMCI reimbursement. This agreement will be with the City of Des Peres. The City of Des Peres Fawn Valley Drive drainage improvements. The city requests funds for the design services to address drainage improvements and add inlets and storm sewers along Fawn Valley Drive. The estimated cost of the design is $185,000, and with this agreement provides for reimbursement up to $175,000. for the work. Next one again is with the Deer Creek improvement agreement with the city of Richmond Heights for the Banneker and Hicks Avenue Storm Improvement Project. The city requests funds for construction services to pick up stormwater outfalls from 2 recent commercial developments and add additional storm sewers to the existing subdivision streets. The estimated cost of the construction is $491,633. The agreement provides for reimbursement of $34,156. Next item is from the Gravois Creek OMCI District, an agreement with City of Sunset Hills for the Sunset Hills Stormwater Master Plan. The city will contract for engineering service to provide a city-wide comprehensive stormwater master plan. The estimated cost of this project is $173,482, and with this agreement, we'll be reimbursing $173,482. As you can see, the municipalities are obviously leveraging this grant money. As we start up in fiscal year 26, obviously, we'll increase that grant program to the other remaining non-OMCI municipalities out there. So I think it's a great opportunity for the district to leverage stormwater funds to allow cities to address, because every one of these projects is probably an issue that we have on our books. So if they're able to work alongside us and eliminate some of these stormwater problems, it's a win for both the municipality and ourselves. Any questions on those before I move to something different? All right, the next 2 items are for easement acquisition for fiscal year dollars for fiscal year 2026 for both our stormwater projects and our wastewater projects for the fiscal year. And I'll discuss kind of the number of easements we anticipate for the dollars. First one is easement acquisition for stormwater for fiscal year 2026. This ordinance will appropriate $1 million for staff to take further efforts to acquire necessary property rights by the means of donation, purchase, contract, lease, or other exercise of a power of eminent domain in order to construct our storm sewer projects. Just to give you an example, in fiscal year 25, we acquired 57 storm easements, and now with the new stormwater program in place, we're going to triple that. We're anticipating 157 new easements over the next fiscal year, and we'll utilize these dollars, these $1 million, to purchase those easements for those stormwater projects.
Rich, how did you arrive at the $1 million estimate? Is that just sort of a ballpark to throw out there so that there is a fund to draw from?
Well, yes, it's a fund to draw from, but I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. What we do is we kind of allocate based on past history of cost per easement and the number of easements. So we kind of unfortunately, we back into the easements. We look at the number of easements and the cost per easement. And typically, if anything that's left over, we'll just move to the following year and we'll reduce by that amount. I do have, it looks like, I'm trying to find my numbers here. It goes by
okay.
how much.
I just wanted you to know, so this is like a general fund.
Correct.
It's not specifically, added up from specific projects that we know of. It's sort of more general.
Exactly. That's what it is. Right now, we have like the number of easements that we get on an average month, and the amount of spend is kind of how they've backed into the dollars.
Okay, thank you.
Next item is the easement acquisition for wastewater projects. Again, this ordinance appropriates $5 million for staff to take further efforts to acquire necessary property rights by means of donation, purchase, contract, lease, or by the power of eminent domain in order to construct our combined and sanitary projects. And again, it's a bucket of dollars to allow us to acquire easements. To give you an example, in fiscal year 25, we acquired 262 easements for sanitary projects. We have an estimate right now of 236 for the next fiscal year. We appropriated the $5 million last year, so we stayed with the $5 million appropriation for this fiscal year. All right, and our final item of the day is a force main evaluation program support. This action will authorize staff to enter into a professional service agreement for engineering services to support our CMOM, our capacity maintenance and management force main program within the pump station. Again, this authorizes the district to enter a contract with GHD to perform these engineering services. There were two other proposals considered. GHD was the highest rated proposal by the evaluation committee. The proposed agreement will be for 1 year with the option of 5 additional years based on performance. And for this services, the consultant works with our operations group. We have a consent decree or CMOM requirement. In the consent, it requires us to inspect our force mains throughout the district and maintain those. So this assists with this, some of the more difficult, which includes internal inspection and equipment to oversee this. So that's what this contract is for. This is, I think, the third such contract since we started the consent decree.
Okay, that's it?
That's it.
All right, thank you. Is there any other business?
No.
Hearing none, the next tentative meeting date is August 5th, 2025, and we're ready to adjourn.
Okay, Trustee
We need
Evans.
a motion? No?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I think we're adjourned. We'll get. Evans, we are ready to go when you are.
Okay, we will call to order the 316th meeting of the Finance Committee. Get a roll call, please.
Yes, the record will reflect that with trustees Kistner and Nikozison online, the other trustees in the room, that all trustees are present.
Get a motion to approve the minutes from the June 3rd meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All right, next item is the NEPC quarterly pension update.
All right, today we have Deanna Jones and Scott Driscoll in from NEPC to present market update and pension performance.
Sorry. Okay, I'll try again. Good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Thank you all for having us in. We have one data point for you today. 2 things we want to cover. It's all as of May, so it's a little bit dated, but that was the most recent performance data we have. If we could go to the next page, you want to start on page 3?
Sure.
Okay. So if we could start on page 3, I'm going to actually turn it over to my colleague Scott to talk about markets, and then we'll talk about the MSD portfolio.
I'll briefly touch upon markets here. Oh, thank you. That works. Is this on? Yep. Is this on? All right. So I'll briefly touch upon markets here on page 3. A lot has happened. This is as of 5/31. And I know over the past couple months, if anybody looks at the news, looks at, takes a look at the Wall Street Journal, we've seen, significant bouts of volatility between April and May. And I think one of the big takeaways here is, there's been a lot of headline news that's driven a lot of this information. And, we're pretty cautious about where things are going. And that's really a theme behind our market outlook. As tariffs really drove a lot of the volatility in April. And then when there was pullback on news and tariffs, we saw volatility really recede quite a bit. We saw performance actually jump pretty significantly. And maybe that's one of the points I'll hit upon here, actually. I think it's one of the key notes. If we go to page 4, this gives us really broad update of the various benchmarks throughout the globe between equity benchmarks and fixed income benchmarks. And on the left side of page 4 here, these are monthly returns. And really, when you look at this page, the blue columns that are in positive territory, those are your equity markets. They have rebounded pretty considerably relative to early to mid-April, where we saw significant sell-offs. If we take a look at, say, the S&P 500, it's the second column in from the left, was up over 6% in the month of May. A lot of companies, more so on the growth side of this benchmark, really turned around quite a bit once we saw some of the news ease after the initial news on tariffs, concerns about rates, concerns about inflation. And one thing we don't have here is June data. June data finished yesterday. So, when we take a look at June, really the equity markets continue. It was an extension of May. We saw the equity markets, at least domestically, continue to generate positive results. When we look at this page, though, I do need to note the fixed income markets. So the credit markets definitely had a bit of a mixed bag of performance in the month of May. We saw them anywhere from down 70 basis points, that would be the Bloomberg aggregate benchmark, to maybe up 2%, almost 2% when we look at the high yield benchmark. And you have exposure to both sectors of these parts of the credit markets. You actually have a very well diversified credit portfolio as a whole. But really the story is that there was a mixed bag of performance in the month of May across the credit markets. In the month of June, the credit markets posted pretty modest results across the board as well. So some of the follow-up slides within this presentation here, if we look at page 6 real briefly, and this might be one of the last ones I talk about, but this talks about mega cap names. So 7 stocks within the S&P 500, really growth-oriented technology stocks, traded off significantly in early April. We're down absolutely, they were down significantly. And then since then, they've reversed course quite a bit. And these are the same stocks that have driven the S&P 500, the Russell 1000, which are U.S. large company benchmarks over recent history, over the past 18 to 24 months for that matter. And they've been on a pretty volatile roller coaster. It took a couple pieces of news to send them into negative territory. Took some news, the respite on the tariff talks with China, pushing it 90 days down the road, really helped escalate the returns within these companies right here, which subsequently drove performance within their benchmarks. And you'll see how that has impacted performance of the equity portfolio within the system here. So I think that's quite a bit of the market information. Not sure if there are any questions regarding market information.
Hearing none, if we could go to page 18 of our deck. So this is the performance for MSD for the pension plan as of the month of May. And to kind of help frame some of these performance numbers, to Scott's point, as the market kind of digested what the impact of tariffs would be on the potential economic returns of companies, you saw a lot of volatility. And the pockets of the market that outperformed during that part of the tariff news when it was originally announced were what are known as value stocks. So a great way to think about value versus growth is, if you're thinking about a value stock, think about going to a garage sale. And you're going to hear this analogy a lot from me. Think about going to a garage sale and you find a leather jacket, and the leather jacket is selling for $50, but you know for sure you could resell it on eBay for $100. You know what the value of that jacket is. That's what a value stock is. A lot of those sectors are like finance, things where you really know the valuation of the company. Growth is like opening a coffee shop in Tower Grove. Up and coming neighborhoods, you know you can make money on it, but there's some kinks around it, right? That's more of a growthier name. If you think about what the market was kind of digesting in April and May, was the impact of interest rates and tariffs, and the companies that would be hit most pronouncedly in the negative would be those growth names, right? Whereas value names, you kind of understand what the valuation is. So investors shifted dollars from kind of riskier growthier names to more value names. And you saw that play out in your portfolio. Another thing to think about is your portfolio really has kind of three spokes. So you have your equity piece, which is that capital appreciation piece. So the idea that you invest $1, we get $2 out at time of trading out. You have your fixed income piece, which is kind of your safe haven, and it's intended to be a liquidity cushion for you, in addition to being kind of this hedging force when markets are volatile. And then you have your multi-asset or real asset portion of your portfolio, which is intended to diversify across those two asset classes, equity and fixed income. So for the month of May, and if you follow with me, I'll focus in on that 1 month number, which is your performance as of the end of May, and the year-to-date number, which is your performance from January, the top of this year, until the end of May. The top line number that's in blue is what the fund returned for the month of May. So for the month of May, the portfolio returned positive 2.9%. For the year-to-date period, it was positive 3.9%. Below in the white, you see two numbers, and those are kind of your bogeys, right? If you think about how do we measure how well you're doing or not doing relative to a bogey, those are your index. The first one is your policy index. If you remember last year, towards the end of last year when we came in, you adopted an investment policy. So it said how much equity you have, how much fixed income, kind of what are the targets we're hitting towards for each asset class. What that policy index tells us is if you were perfectly invested, passively, but perfectly invested, what your experience would be based on that policy. And what that helps us understand is how well that policy is positioning you. So that's your top line. Really, when you think about if you're under or overperforming, that's the number you want to focus in on. So if you follow along with me, for the month of May, you outperform that policy index. So that policy index returned positive 2.7. The portfolio performed positive 2.9. What that helps us understand is that some of those under or overweights you have in your portfolio and your active management you were the beneficiaries of that. That was positive for your performance for the month. If we go over to the year-to-date number, the portfolio returned positive 3.9%. Your index returned positive 3.1%. So once again, some outperformance relative to that policy index. I won't focus on those long-term numbers. A lot of that is portfolio performance that NEPC inherited, since we've only been your consultant for right around 6 months now, and you're experiencing our model portfolio around 5 months now. So I won't focus on those long-term numbers. As our relationship furthers, we'll focus more on that and talk about what helped and what hurt those numbers. We take a step back and think about those three spokes, if you will, of your portfolio. The next blue number, and NEPC loves blue, so I'm going to apologize in advance. The next blue number, your public equity number, that's your capital appreciation portion of your portfolio. That represents right around 56% of your portfolio. It's pretty much the largest chunk of your portfolio. So from a return perspective, how that portion of your portfolio out or underperforms will be pretty impactful to your total number. If you look over with me for the 1 month period, some slight underperformance in your public equity portfolio. You look over with me to the year-to-date number, you see outperformance. So how did we where did that underperformance for the month of May comes from? It really came from that, the analogy, the value growth orientation. We think it makes sense for you to be slightly overweight, not pronouncedly, but slightly overweight to value. And as the market digested that tariffs were going to be paused, there were a lot of conversations around countries coming in and negotiating tariffs and what the real impact of tariffs will be. You come out and you say it's going to be 120%, but is that real? The market was digesting how much of the announcement was a negotiation tactic versus what was actually going to be put in paper and how it was going to be implemented. As all of those concerns silenced a little bit or got digested by the market, you started to see, whereas value outperformed in April, you started to see value underperform in May and growth outperform. Since your portfolio is slightly overweight to value, you saw some of that downward pressure in your portfolio. However, we think it is still a good position because we're positioning you to be resilient in times of volatility. And you saw that if you look at your April performance, you weathered the volatility of the market pretty well. And you still are positive, outperforming your index for public equities year to date. So that public equity portfolio year to date, so remember January until the end of May, that portion of the portfolio returned 4.2%. It outperformed the Russell 3000, which is a broad equity market return, which returned 60 basis points. So some outperformance there. If we go to the next page, this focuses in on your fixed income portfolio. Your fixed income portfolio has two pieces. The largest piece is a passively managed portion, which is all what we call safe haven fixed income. So think about treasuries, very liquid securities, AAA corporate credit, very secure securities. That's represented by the SGA TIPS, the treasuries portfolio, and the IRM intermediate corporate credit. So that's your safe haven portion of your portfolio. The more opportunistic portion of your portfolio is the NEPC diversified credit and the PIMCO all assets. And the way these portions work is the safe haven portion of your portfolio, when Tim calls us and needs liquidity in times of market distress, we will go to that very safe haven, high quality portion to liquidate first. The diversified credit and the PIMCO all asset is intended to diversify the fixed income portfolio away from some of those treasury and high quality fixed income. So you'll see things in that portfolio like bank loans and out of sector securities. Overall, this portfolio is intended to be resilient. So if the market is performing negative, we intend for it to be protectionary. On the upside, if the market is doing gangbusters, we expect that it would participate but might lag slightly in that portion, and that works well with your equity portfolio, which is intended to outperform during those markets. And you see for the month of May and year to date, that's what your fixed income portfolio did. So it returned, it outperformed for the month, negative 10 basis points, but outperforming the Barclays Ag, which is a broad credit index, which underperformed by 70 basis points. So you got some outperformance, although it was negative outperformance there. And then on the year-to-date period, it's matching the benchmark, so it's participating. Another thing to note, because there is such a large portion of this portfolio that is passively managed, we're able to give you this fixed income exposure at a very cheap rate. So you're paying less fees to get that exposure. We go to the next page, and then I'll open it up for questions. This is kind of your diversifying assets portion of your portfolio. Entrust is the manager that you have terminated. That $87,000 represents the clawback. As that kind of matures, those bonds mature, you'll start to see that cash come back. We don't necessarily have an ETA on it, but you'll start to see those mature and that cash return to you. UBS, which is the second line from the bottom, that is a open-ended core real estate fund. As you know, over the past 24-ish months, core real estate has really gotten beaten up. A lot of it has to do with their investments within offices, right? People weren't in the office, and so those assets kind of had some downward pressure on them. UBS is a terminated manager too. That $16 million is representing a clawback. So once again, similar to Entrust, as those assets mature, you'll get that capital returned and we'll deploy it elsewhere. The manager that you have that is still an active manager in your portfolio is the Metis Real Assets Index Fund. So this portion of your portfolio is intended to hedge you from some of the market volatility and diversify your portfolio relative to that equity and fixed income portion of the portfolio. It's a beta exposure, so it's a pretty cheap real asset exposure in the portfolio. And I won't read these numbers, but it has consistently kind of matched the index as it's intended to do for the 1 month and year-to-date period. So I'll pause. I know we said a whole bunch of stuff in a short amount of time, so I'll open it up for what questions we didn't answer for you.
All right, looks like no questions. Thank you both very much.
Hopefully we got you all back on schedule.
I think so. Well,
Thank you all.
We were pretty far behind, but I'll just take a minute to go over the operating fund portfolio. It's the last thing on the finance agenda. Look at our investments. Sorry, Wendy, there you go. Just a few changes to note here over the previous month. Our portfolio is about $16 million lower than it was at the end of May. We're starting to see some of the big invoices come through for the incinerator project. So we saw a big payout in the middle of the month that's really driving that. Although after I put this together, we did get some of the draw on the loan. So that has been offset. Our yield to maturity is up about 5 basis points in our portfolio, so almost 4.20. Well, the benchmark went down about 20 basis points. So what we've seen since the beginning of the year is really investments where the benchmark invests, which is 1 to 3 years, have dropped 40 to 50 basis points. So if you remember earlier in the year, that was over 4. Now it's about 3.80 because that entire portfolio turns over. Where we're investing, which is a year and under, those rates have been pretty stable. And we had some older investments at lower rates that matured, which increased the overall yield of what was left. And so we're investing mostly less than a year, and we're still investing around 4.3% in our new investments, while the benchmark's turning over to much lower rates. So, and our anchor is probably over 4, so we'll see what rates do in the future. But unless they pop back up, we're probably going to be above the benchmark for a while, just as we were under it for a while before tends to be the way that goes. Not big changes in the weighted average user maturity. We're usually around 1. Benchmark's usually close to 2, 1.86. On the sector allocation, some very minor changes. We have slightly less treasury bonds and a little bit more commercial paper. That's just based on opportunity, what our investment needs are and where we can get the best rates. On the fund summary in the bottom left, that 16 million less of funding is represented all in the operations, and that's also where the yield pickup was, which is the bulk of kind of the catch-all of where most of the funds are. And again, maturity distribution, there was nothing more than just a couple basis points either way. Biggest change for us was in the 0 to 1 years, down almost 2% versus last month, and the benchmark was up almost 3 points in the 2 to 3 years, but nothing unusual here. We're within our policy limits, so we are in compliance with the investment policy, and it's working as it should. If there are no questions, that's all we have for the Finance Committee meeting.
All right, thank you. Next tentative meeting date is August 5th, 2025. Motion to adjourn.
So move.
All righty. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Stakeholder Relations Committee meeting. Roll call by the chair.
All right, record will reflect. I believe we still have Trustee Kistner online. Trustee Nikozison is online. All the other trustees are in the room, so all trustees are present.
Thank you. There are no comments by the chair. Approval of committee meeting minutes, June 3rd, 2025.
So move.
So moved.
Thank you. First up is discussion by Rich Underford regarding a stormwater policy and ordinance.
Good morning again, trustees. This action you'll be voting on is repealing and superseding ordinance 14393 and enacting a new stormwater ordinance. To update the stormwater ordinance and policy to reflect the new capital improvement program, and to update the district's stormwater maintenance policy. What this action accomplishes, it updates the stormwater ordinance to reflect the new stormwater tax and the stormwater impervious charge, and primarily revises our stormwater maintenance policy. Our previous policy established for operation and maintenance of the system had a line in there basically indicating that the district did not have a capital improvement program to address long-term needs. Obviously, that's changed. We do currently have a stormwater capital improvement program, so that was the adjustment that we made. And so we're basically repealing, adding the language regarding the approval of a capital program, and we've added that additional item to the stormwater maintenance policy as well.
All right. Thanks, Rich. Next up, is that it, Rich?
That is it. Thank you.
Okay. The next item is a discussion by Tracy Coleman regarding an ordinance for the district's classification plan.
Good morning, trustees. For introduction and adoption, I have ordinance number 16656. This is regarding the classification plan and making an update to some classified positions. The changes that we want to make is the SCADA system specialist and operations supervisor operations supervisor SCADA will be moving from the operations department to the information technology department. a few positions in IT will be retitled. The SCADA system specialist will be changed to control system specialist. And the operations supervisor, SCADA, will be changed to control system supervisor. There are going to be some new positions in IT. The IT specialist 2 control system, which will be a grade C7. And the IT control systems engineer, which will also be a grade C8. Are there any questions, trustees, about these changes to the ordinance? Okay, well, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Coleman. Next up is a discussion by Jenny Keenstra regarding an ordinance for Oracle Managed Services and an ordinance for Oracle Expenses implementation.
Good morning, trustees. I have 2 actions today. The first is for Oracle Managed Services. We want to engage a technology partner to provide higher tier support for our ERP system. It's hosted by Oracle. An RFP was issued, and AST, Application Software Technology vendor, was selected as the best solution for the district. And it is for a 1-year contract with 3 option years. Any questions? Oracle Managed Services.
Oh, the second one, all right. It's out of order.
It's okay.
Yeah.
No questions?
Okay. I'll proceed with the second one, which is Oracle Expense implementation. This action is to engage a technology vendor to provide implementations for a module called Expenses in Oracle, which will provide for procurement cards. These cards will be used to help manage small dollar purchases and reduce the costs associated with the manual processing of those expenses. An RFP was issued, and Envy Technologies was awarded the implementation services work. Question there? Was the order okay? Thank you.
All right, thank you, Jenny. Next, I would like to call to order a closed session to discuss legal actions, causes of actions, or litigation under section 610.021.1 RSMO, leasing, purchasing, or sale of real estate under sections 610.021.2 RSMO, and personnel actions under sections 610.21.3.
So move.
All right, we have a motion.
Second.
Thank you. We'll do a roll call vote. Trustee Kistner.
Aye.
Trustee Wabi.
Aye.
Trustee Watson stepped away. Trustee Evans.
Yes.
Trustee Nicholasison.
Yes.
Trustee Wilson. All right, we're in closed session.
Nick, is this in if we're ready to come out of closed session?
I'd like a motion to come out of closed session.
So move.
So moved.
Next tentative meeting date is Tuesday, August 5th, 2025. Motion for adjournment.
So move.
Second. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Thank you all.
Have a good day.
Bye.